Hello and welcome to Acoustic Review. My name is Ben Morgan Brown and today I'm looking at the OM1 AJL from Collings Guitars. Designed in collaboration with jazz guitarist Julian Lage, this signature model was one of the last projects that Bill Collings worked on personally before he passed away in July 2017. Taking the concept of the Collings traditional series and expanding it with Julian's input and taking inspiration from his 1939 0018, the OM1 AJL features a solid Adirondack top, solid Honduran mahogany back and sides, a Honduran mahogany neck with a custom asymmetrical carve copied from Julian's original guitar, and a 25.5-inch scale length. A bone nut with a 1 and 11/16 spacing, and a bone saddle with a 2 and 3/16 spacing. The guitar has an ebony fingerboard, an ebony bridge, and also an ebony headplate overlay. The guitar is braced with Sitka spruce bracing in a custom traditional series pre-war scalloped X brace pattern that has no tongue brace. Both the body and neck are finished in a custom satin nitrocellulose lacquer. The guitar ships with a TKL hardcase, and it has an RRP in the UK of £7,045. I'm a big fan of Julian Lage's playing and I'm really interested to get to know this guitar, so let's have a listen to it now and then join me afterwards for my thoughts. My first thoughts upon seeing this guitar were actually how plain it looks. There's very little in the way of decoration, with 3 simple dot inlays on the fingerboard, and the simple wooden rosette and purfling make for an unassuming look. The satin finish is very matte, with none of the glossy shine of Collins' normal finish, so to be honest there was a little lack of wow factor when I first saw the guitar. Where that wow factor does come in though is when you pick the guitar up. It's super light, and even just moving the guitar around you can hear that it's resonant, as the body was amplifying just the action of holding it and the sound of my hands on the neck and the body. Although there's little bling on display here, once you start really inspecting the guitar it's obvious that every little detail has been considered and taken care of. The saddle and bridge pin fit is perfect, the slight angle at the end of the fingerboard is perfect, the edges of the headstock are perfect, the interior workmanship, even down to the placing of the label, is perfect. I could go on, but suffice to say it's an incredibly well built guitar. The grain on the mahogany back and sides is very close and even, and the Adirondack top appears to be perfectly quarter sawn with some silking, which admittedly would be a lot more obvious and beautiful under a full gloss finish. It's worth pointing out that this particular guitar, which has been supplied to us by the UK distributor, has seen some performance and studio time on loan to a Collings artist, and as such does show some light signs of use. That makes me worry a little bit that the satin finish is probably going to wear more quickly than a gloss finish, but also that it should soften over time and develop some glossier areas that will feel really good, such as the back of the neck, which already plays in a very silky fashion. Moving on to the tone of the guitar now, and what strikes me first of all is how immediate the sound is. There's not much bloom to the notes, they seem to jump right out of the guitar and then decay in a very predictable and linear manner. The emphasis is certainly on the fundamental without lots of overtones building up, and the fundamental stays strong and true throughout the life of each note. As you play, there's a sense that each note is there for as long as you want it to be and no longer. There's little lingering resonances from previous notes, and as such, the tone is very clear and precise. The treble response is strong, but I wouldn't say the guitar was bright. The bass response feels hefty enough for a smaller body, but it's completely in balance with the rest of the tone. Julian Lage himself describes the guitar as lovingly neutral and not an empty flatterer, and I think I understand what he means. The voice and immediacy of attack made me consider what I was playing. There isn't a wall of sound to be produced by wailing away on open chords, and so a more considered playing approach seemed to be the most rewarding. That's not to say the guitar isn't capable of producing a good volume. Certainly from the playing position at least, the guitar seems to be quite loud, louder than both my Rosewood and Sitka OMs certainly. But the separation that makes it so expressive in some ways felt a little jarring to me when strumming chords, almost as if each note of the chord retained its own identity a little too much and didn't blend into the whole. However, for fingerpicking and other styles based around note separation, I felt it worked really well, and in that context, the feeling of the notes hanging around only as long as you need them and not getting in the way was perfect. The custom carve of the neck feels very nice under the hand, with a fullish C shape with just a hint of a rounded off V that stays consistent in depth as you move up to the higher frets. The taper also stays consistent, and combined with the 1 11/16 nut and 2 3/16 bridge spacing, the feel and spacing of the strings remains similar as you travel towards the neck joint. My personal preference is for a neck that flares out a little more, and it is possible to order the Julian Lage with the Collings traditional neck carve, but the medium-low action and excellent fretwork combined with a compound radius meant the guitar was playable across the whole fretboard, to the point where once I'd got used to the spacing, I never really gave it a second thought. So, an expertly built guitar with a balanced and true sound that also plays effortlessly, all of which of course comes at a cost. £7,045 is a lot of money by most people's standards, and on the surface of it, there are other guitars close in specs to the OM1 AJL out there for significantly less money. And the standard model with a Sitka spruce top is also about £1,000 cheaper. And then of course there's the fact that in some ways the guitar doesn't give you much to show for your money. There's no elaborate inlay, no spectacularly flamed woods, not even a mirror-like finish. But when you start to consider where the money has been spent, finding a quarter-sawn piece of Adirondack spruce that meets Collins' strict cosmetic, structural and tonal criteria, finding stable, lightweight mahogany for the back, sides and neck, choosing bracing material that is light and strong, applying a finish that is thin enough to not inhibit the tone, yet durable enough to protect the wood, and then all the extra steps throughout the build process that clearly have had the utmost care taken at all times. Well, I think then you might begin to understand how this guitar starts to creep up in price. Whether that price is worth it, I think, is something you'll have to decide for yourselves. But it's clear to me that this guitar, should it meet your tone and playability criteria, could easily be a guitar for life. One that starts from a position of having been designed by one of the world's greatest acoustic players and one of the world's greatest acoustic builders. Built with expert precision from the best of the best materials, and also one that I'm confident that will never be outgrown by any player. I hope you've enjoyed this video from Acoustic Review. Please subscribe to keep up to date with new videos, and I look forward to seeing you next time.